Yeah, it's really important. I think a big thing for Māori is moving collectively, and money isn't necessarily important to us, but it enables us to do the things and support the kaupapa that we want to support and provide, homes are really important for our whānau. So, yeah, that's a real big driver.
Welcome back to Where's My Money? Money Month has kicked off across New Zealand, a time when financial capability is front and centre. The focus this year is on building resilience through emergency savings, which hopefully we're all getting a little bit better at. And while today's episode is about getting into the property market, it's also about security, support, and how money decisions ripple across generations. Today on Where's My Money, home ownership and what that milestone really looks like for Māori and Pasifika communities.
Welcome to Where's My Money? One man, $1 million of debt, one podcast to find a way out.
Buying a home is a pretty big deal for anyone. But depending on your background, your support network, and how the system sees you, it can feel a lot harder than it should. Lucyanne joins us to talk about what it took to get there and what home ownership means beyond just ticking a box. First though, Moe Lewin is a mortgage advisor and kaitūhono or connector. She works alongside Māori whānau and rangatahi to make the lending system a little more workable. Let's get into it. Thank you for joining me on Where's My Money. We've known each other for, it's probably close to 2 decades now.
2 decades.
Yeah, and we worked in radio together years ago and we've gone our separate ways. Now we've crossed paths again. What do you do these days?
I'm a mortgage broker.
Nice.
I'm a Māori mortgage advisor. And I got into it. We've invested over time. So probably the last 15 years we've been investing. And I felt like there's a real opportunity to support Māori into kind of home ownership. So yeah, that's the key driver.
What was your pathway into owning your first home? Was it particularly tricky or...
Yeah, it was. I mean, we just didn't talk about it at home, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a thing in Māori communities for whatever reason. Well, we know why, but home ownership just wasn't a thing for us. And then I was going to go over to the UK. I was still working in radio, and then I fell pregnant, and then it was like, oh shit, I need to kind of grow up quickly.
Yeah.
And so it was at that point the goal towards home ownership kind of started, and it only started because my husband's friends who he was in the UK with always talked about owning homes and investment properties, and so that's kind of how we got into it.
Yeah. Oh, and because we've always said on the podcast too, the reason I thought I was doing everything right is because we've been trained to think that being on the property ladder is it. That's the metric of success.
Yes, and did you know that?
Well, it was always owning your house. Just owning a home was what you had to do. You got your degree, met someone, got a job, buy a house. That's like the Kiwi dream. So why is it going wrong for people, what? A, why is it the only measure of success? Because there's other ways to do it. But B, why do we all have to follow it? And then why is it harder for some people than it is others?
Yeah, and I think that's a key point, right? And it's kind of discussions we've been having in Māori communities. It is just not something we talked about at the dinner table.
Right.
It just was never a conversation. And so financial literacy for Māori just is not a thing, hasn't been a thing, is a thing now. We're having a lot more conversations around it. I mean, I learned about it just organically, and then I was like, this is how it works. This is how you get on the property ladder and you buy investments, and then they give you money.
Yeah.
Every time you buy an investment, you get, a cashback. So we just learned organically. We were chasing money, and I think that was a lot because we didn't have a lot growing up. And so I always felt like I wanted more, and so that was a key driver, money.
We always want more. Everyone always wants more, right? We never have enough.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thinking. And so I really was like driving for wealth. And then I grew up at Hawani Waititi Marae. I was really strongly connected there. And then
Whereabouts is that?
West Auckland and West Auckland. So it's a real hub for Māori communities. It was established for those who'd moved from rural to the city to have a place where they could kind of be themselves, and their culture was there. So I went back for my auntie's funeral, and I saw a massive shift. And really at that point I realized that wealth isn't money. It was wealth is language and connection to, others. And so it was kind of a real turning point for me in my journey. And so I was like, sheesh, I've been chasing money. We'd built up really awesome property portfolio. And then I thought to myself, well, what's the point of just one person doing really well when the rest might not know how or are struggling?
Particularly if you're talking about a marae where people are coming from rural communities into town, and then what's next? Like, if they want to live in that town, they've got to either rent or they want to buy there. That must be a pretty big bridge to get for people too.
Yeah, and it really was when a lot of our grandparents moved from the countries into the urban drift, I think is what they called it in the 60s. And so still today people are having to move from, rural into Auckland. And so it's a great place. It's a beautiful place. It's been responsible for the revitalisation of Te Reo Māori massively. So yeah, it's done a lot for me.
So you mentioned before you think why Māori don't talk about money at the dinner table, like is it a taboo thing? It's just never been done that way? Is there shame around money? What do you think is the blocker?
Shame. I think, you look, 1970s Māori had the highest home ownership rates, when the 70%. Now Māori home ownership's at around 37%.
Well, half what it was.
Yeah, so a massive, massive shift, right? And I didn't learn the things in school. When I think about my mum, my dad died when I was little, so she had to raise 3 young girls. So I guess for her it was more focused on putting food on the table versus, what does our future look like and how do I kind of set us up?
You're in the day-to-day rather than looking ahead.
Yeah. So there's a lot of other reasons, I think, why it's not talked about, but that's coming back now. We're starting to create spaces. So Hidden Figures they're on Instagram. They're first, Māori business to talk about financial literacy, and they launched maybe 4 years ago, and overnight they had 7,000 Māori followers. So I guess at that point it was kind of out in the open, and people started to talk about finances and how to get on the property ladder and things like that.
I guess the financial literacy one is interesting because no one gets taught it. Like, it's great that national or the current government has said there's going to be financial literacy in schools. That's awesome, but I think it's not been available to anyone. Are there issues with the lending system that might not work for Māori in the classic sense? So what are those? Massively. Because these are things I just don't see. I'm not exposed to any of these because I am who I am. I don't see the problems. And I don't see how hard it is.
A big thing for Māori is we work collectively, right? And so our families are really tight, and so we might live together. Like, I grew up with 8 people in the house. Yeah. Loved it. 3-bedroom home. Loved it. That sounds not that great for others, but that was just the way we lived. And so when you're going for lending, the bank will say, well, you all need to have 1 bedroom. It's like, well, you've got 8 people in the house.
Who has an 8-bedroom house?
Who has? Yeah. So we might live marae style. So there might be mattresses and spaces and things like that. And so that's not set up for us. Yeah. A lot of brokers don't like to do, you can do a 4-way application. We're a lot like to do 2 because it's just simpler. So moving into the space, I'm doing a lot more 4-way mortgages, so dads and kids. Yep. We've had a whānau pre-approved for 1.8 million. Yeah, and they purchased a couple of months ago. So we're, moving like that now. So mums and kids.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. That was going to be one of my questions. It's easy to focus on the problems, but are you seeing lots of success stories now that you're someone who's focused on this? Our
people are in great spaces. I know there's a lot of commentary, and times are hard for a lot of our Māori whānau, but there are really successful Māori people as well, of course. I'm working with 2 30-year-olds. They are earning just under 400,000, and they pretty much paid their mortgage off. Yeah. Like, the house is worth $1 million. They've got 200,000 on the mortgage. I'm like, what the heck? Yeah. So they're quite different. Yep. And a lot of the young ones, like, I spoke to someone last night. He's like, I track my net worth every couple of weeks. I'm like, okay.
There's a lot of people from heaps of backgrounds that would just never do that.
Yeah, there's a big shift, and the younger generation, so you always kind of get the different generations, but the younger generation are different.
Yeah.
You know, they've kind of grown in their reo, they're really strong in who they are, they don't struggle kind of with their place. And they're just earning really good money, doing great things in the Māori community, and really, working towards kind of collective wealth, maybe, but moving together collectively.
That's cool. That kind of bucks the trend, because at the moment the narrative seems to be like this young generation, all they do is whinge, they get everything for free, like then they're not motivated to get on the property ladder because they think they've missed the boat. But what you're saying is that the young generation is actually, particularly in the Māori world, is owning it.
They're driving.
Yeah,
you know,
cool.
to be earning just under 400,000 at the age of 29, 30, like joint, driving mortgages down, no liabilities, really good with money. Like I've seen heaps of stories, heaps of clients have come through like that. And a lot of them just they've got all this money and assets and things, and they just don't know how to use it, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't know. And so it's been really good for me to move into the space that it's someone they trust.
Yeah.
You know, so they're kind of comfortable to sit down and have a conversation. And I think that's a big thing.
It can be an intimidating process, eh? Like,
it's hard.
if we're talking just buying a house, like walking into a bank or getting a broker to talk to a bank and then getting lawyers involved, like it is an intimidating process for anyone. But if you haven't been raised around any kind of money conversations and you're trying to bridge that gap, it's a big
scary.
deal. Yeah.
And all of our whānau say that. They're
Yep.
like, this is really scary. It's a big step for them. And so I play a big role in supporting them through the process and just making sure they feel comfortable at each stage. And if they don't, we kind of pull back. But just really playing a supportive role.
Are there, you're a financial or like a mortgage broker or mortgage advisor working specifically for Māori. Are there other providers around that are looking to specifically support Māori too, in terms of lawyers or lending? Like, is there the full package you can get if you want to go Māori through and through, like this is a team for us?
I'm building it.
You're doing it.
Yeah, like
Cool.
I've hooked up with a Māori real estate agent who's got a good friend who's a registered valuer. We've found some solicitors who are Māori owned, builders. So we're just kind of starting to create a bit of a kahui, which is a group. So we're going to do some online sessions, just kind of really informal for our whānau to be able to ask questions. But we are starting to form a bit of a group.
Awesome. What changes would you like to see from the bank or government? Because obviously not everyone's going to be able to access your services. Obviously you want to grow and help as many people as possible, but not everyone will be able to do that. What change do you want to see from organisations like banks or the government to shift the success rate a little more for Māori?
The government's hard at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, it's really, we feel really under attack at the moment, which is really sad because, you know, they talk about us being such a small minority, but yet we kind of feel we are definitely being targeted. So I think with this government, I don't know that there's going to be anything that will benefit Māori in my view, to be honest. With the banks, I mean, they're very much set around, you know, catering to you, I guess, you know, and the way your family is set up. And so how can we kind of make changes for the way in which Māori live, you know, like everyone having to have their own room or kind of certain like ways of lending. I mean, it's good we can do the 4-way app, but, you know, there's restrictions around building on Māori land, you know, so how do we kind of unlock that to allow Māori to leverage to be able to build and live?
That all makes sense. Like, it seems like low-hanging fruit in terms of being able to unlock the land that should be used for helping Māori.
Yeah.
If it comes to a whānau who are looking to, you know, really elevate their success or just amplify it, accelerate, get better real quick, what do you think they can be doing differently if it comes to saving or planning or setting goals or accessing lending? Is there some advice you could give to people in those situations?
The biggest thing is around setting a goal, right? So that's what I'm saying, like, you know, what's the goal? What have you got? Where are the gaps? And therefore, what do you have to do to work towards that? And so we've had quite a few whānau who are short of a deposit, or they've had, you know, too many liabilities, so they have to go away and reduce those essentially. We know what that
Totally,
is.
get rid of the debt.
Yeah, so it's just like, okay, understanding the road to get there, and then what do you need to do to be able to move through that, and just really addressing those things.
That's where getting help's so important, because often, like, I'm guilty of it too. Something seems so unachievable, but no one's actually shown me what the steps are. And to me, the road's just too tough, so I'm just like, I'll flag it. But for someone to come and give you advice and just go, it's actually 3 steps away. Two out of those 3 might be quite significant, but once you get through those things, you can achieve this goal.
It's not hard. It seems scary, right?
Yeah.
But home ownership, okay, you've got to work hard to achieve the things. But even when I talk to whānau, they kind of go, is that it?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's it. They're like, okay, cool.
And what would you say to someone who's totally lost hope?
You can. Why not? Of course you can. We can have all the things that we want, So it's really just going back to understanding what do you need to buy, and where are the gaps, and what do you need to kind of step up. I mean, I've done that in my own career, and even when working at NZB, when it's like, we want to buy another house. Okay, well, the bank says you need to earn another 20,000. All right, Carolyn, can you give me a pay rise, please?
I'm worth it.
I'm good. But it's like, okay, well, what are you going to do about it? And if you can't get that money, well, where can you get that money from? Is there
side hustle?
Side hustle, just like you were talking before. It's like, I've used a post on Instagram. It's like, okay, well, it's like when the off-ramps close, when you're heading down the Northwestern or whatever, it's like you just have to find another route to get there. It may take you longer to get home, but you'll eventually get there. And so that's kind of the thinking.
And you might learn another way. Like, in terms of, you'll follow the signs and be like, I've never been here before. Oh, but I now know another route to get home if I need to. Yeah.
And there is always a way.
Good analogy.
There is always a way. There's always a way. You just kind of need to understand and navigate it. So,
Nice.
Just believe in yourself is, the biggest thing. And with our whānau, a lot of them, because home ownership hasn't been a thing, they haven't believed in themselves necessarily.
Well, if the generation before you didn't do it, if you're not being exposed to it that way, then so much of the time it must look unachievable, because you just haven't been near it or close to it.
Oh, totally. And I think 70% of wealth in New Zealand is through property, when I kind of look at the stats. So it's just really encouraging the shift in the thinking that, we can have that. And that's what I post. A lot of the content is around, belief, and it's, breaking those steps down. I think you're right, you're starting to break cycles, hey? Like, because heaps of people I've talked to, they're like, my mum doesn't, with the home ownership isn't a thing, we all rent. And then I think to myself, I'm like, we could have bought 5 houses back then, because my grandfather had a freehold house. I was like, we just didn't know. And I think, around risk as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess that's the biggest part of a big part of the financial literacy is like just knowing what these things mean. Like,
and simple
risk, assets, all that stuff.
Like simple terms as well, right? Because I think bank speaks like jargon, like stuff that normal people just don't understand. I mean, I know the banks are, more focused on making it more kind of simple, but a lot of it is just jargon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's meant to trip us all up.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really important. I think a big thing for Māori is moving collectively, and money isn't necessarily important to us, but it enables us to do the things and support the kaupapa that we want to support, and provide, homes are really important for our whānau. So that's a real big driver. It's really busy in the space. So there's a massive need for it. I've got 10 million in the pipeline of our whānau, getting ready to buy.
Oh, you're busy.
It's busy.
You're busy.
Yeah. So, I'm really excited and just wanting to encourage more of our whānau to step into the space.
So that's Moe, working inside the system to support Māori whānau into home ownership. But what does it feel like to actually get there? Lucyanne's just done it, the first in her Pasifika family to buy a home. Here's how it happened and what it's changed for her. What did home ownership mean to you? Why was this such a big goal for you?
Well, I think it's stems from my background in terms of home ownership. Like that's that's a goal. That was a goal for me, and I watched my parents worked really hard to own their own home. So in terms of I look back and I think of their parents, like I never stop to think about where I am here today and how I got here, and that stems from my grandparents. And I remember when I have this vision, and I see it now with my grandparents, and we're from the islands. So Mum's from Samoa. My dad, he migrated from Niue and Tonga, and I have this vision of them like having to hop on the boat or hop on the plane with their children, and leaving all the comforts that they're used to, and then coming across to New Zealand to provide a better future for their children, which are my parents. And then now when I grew up, my dad was the only worker, and then with my mum, she stayed home with us because it was important for her to be around her children, but she supplemented the income with the resources that she had. So she knew how to bake and she knew how to sew, and with her having those skills, she would bake or sew, and we would go to the markets on Saturday, and we would just sell whatever she made, and that would just supplement the income, and that. So when I think back about how hard my mum and dad worked to own their own home, and then I think back about my grandparents and the sacrifices that they've made, that's why home ownership is so important to me. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Was it something you grew up believing was possible? Or did you kind of see it as a pipe dream, or had you kind of just written it off and thought this is something I can't achieve?
I did believe it was possible because I saw how hard my parents worked.
Yeah.
So I knew, I can. And I have to say they're one of the only people in my family that I know that actually own a home. So I knew it was possible, but just in my own journey of growing up, I just thought there has to be a better way, because I saw my parents work so hard to get to that point, and I was like, surely we can work and do this better. Yeah.
And what was the turning point that made you go, I'm going to enable me? Like, I need someone else's guidance here. I need Di on my team.
Yeah.
What was that moment?
Yeah. It was sitting at home, and I'm of that generation where I watch Fair Go religiously.
It was a great show.
Yeah. And Hannah McQueen had a segment on Fair Go, and that was like, okay, I'm sick of living paycheck to paycheck. I'm only just meeting my mortgage payments, and we need to do something. We need to do something now. So went on the website, and then and booked my first appointment.
So you already had a house at this point? You'd already purchased a home?
Yeah, we had purchased a home, but we were stuck. Yeah, we were just stuck. We were...
you're floating, are you? You're not swimming forwards, you're not drifting backwards necessarily, but you're kind of just floating. Yeah.
So we did, but we were struggling. Yeah.
And so once you arrived at Enable Me and you'd been partnered up with Di, the legend that she is, what were the first steps you had to take to really start, getting that feeling of momentum and moving ahead? Where did you start?
Yeah. It's really confronting, like looking at your where your money goes. Actually, okay, let's print 3 months of bank statements, and you're like, okay, print it, and then you like look at your statements, and you're like, oh damn, did I spend that? Did I go there like 10 times?
It's interesting you say that, because you would have had to do that to buy a house the first time, right? But you probably just printed it and forwarded it on, right?
Yeah.
Because how many times you refinance or you apply for a loan or a mortgage, you have to provide that stuff.
Yeah.
You never look at it. You download it, send the PDF. I don't even want to look at it. Just take it, just have it.
Yeah.
And hope, you just cross your fingers and go, I hope it gets approved. But actually going line by line, why was this spent? What
Yeah.
was this for? Did you need that?
Yeah.
You're right, it can be pretty confronting.
Yeah.
And you see how much money you've thrown at the wall for nothing.
Yeah.
You must see that all the time, Di.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys wanted to buy out your husband's family, to buy the family home.
Yes.
And yeah, that was buying another house, turning the first one into rental. There was a lot of work to do. We had to do it right and get the results.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, so you wanted to own your own home and also buy out the parents so they didn't have to worry about it again.
Yeah. Yeah. So
It's a pretty noble thing to do.
yeah. So it was just like that stuff I didn't think was possible.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And also, where do you start? Like, that seems like a lofty goal for a lot of people, and you go, well, a lot of people just write it off and go, it's too hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, like it was confronting. Diane's been a gift. Yeah, so she's been a gift to me, but then to all the other people that I've, that have come along on the Enable Me journey. And, but also just like in terms of culture, she's been really supportive because some things in our culture is really important. So I never felt judged, which was good. For spending where this money goes, but it's important for me. And also just understanding that where this money goes is important for us. So we always felt in control of where where money needed to go. But what Diane did for us was she educated us, connected us with the right people. It made us learn on the journey, because if I'm learning, then it's helping me with my children as
Yeah,
well.
that's the teach a man to fish mentality, right? Like, you're not
Yes.
just chucking a fish on the table, you're going, here's the rod, you can do this yourself now.
Exactly.
Do you feel like if Di moved to Singapore tomorrow, you'd have the tools to do this all yourself now?
Yes, but she's I feel like we're connected. So
You
we
wanna
still
hold on
stay
to her
connected?
number.
Yeah.
Diane is definitely part of the family.
That's awesome.
When I think about the journey, it's been really hard because yes, it is hard work. But I really wanted to share my journey with other people. It started with the people that are really close to me. So like my parents, and actually other family members, and then other friends as well, because I wanted them to be in the same position. But when you start sharing the journey, and because you've had such a, you get good goals and ticks, you tick things off, and then people go, okay, is this like a pyramid scheme? What's in it for you, or what are you getting out of this? It's been really hard to, but it's...
That's because, do you think that's because they don't, you see your own momentum and your own progress because you're so deeply connected to the numbers once you start?
Yes.
I don't want to say playing the game because it's not a game, but it is. If we're calling it a game, you're playing the game, they're your numbers. And other people probably don't see that progress. So they're going, why are you working so hard? There's no results that we can see.
Yeah.
But further down the track, when you're the one who is living in a house mortgage free and actually have 2 or 3 investment properties and your retirement sorted, that's stuff they still probably won't see.
Yeah.
It's not for them, eh?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
To have a line of sight to retirement, to know that you can help your kids through the schools you want the children to go to, and university if they want to go, and perhaps a leg up into the property market.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And not having to stress about any of that stuff.
And you guys don't have to work full time till 65.
Yeah.
You can back off or support anyone that needs some help.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's awesome. It's a great feeling.
Yeah.
Where are you at now in terms so you've still got a mortgage, but how's it looking? You got 10 properties, what's going on? How hard have you played this game?
Yeah. We're financially stable, and it's nice to have money in the bank, especially when something out of the blue pops up and you're not ready for it. So definitely that, and
you're not losing sleep.
Yeah, not losing sleep, and also it's when I think about Diane and our journey, like I just saw this was my goal, and then we achieved it. So I became debt free. Tick, done. And then Diane was like, "Have you thought of this? You know, like a rental property." I was like, "No, I didn't." So I was like, "Okay, let's look at that."
Prime position.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Awesome.
And then there'll be other goals like, have you thought of retiring at an earlier age? No, I didn't think of that.
Yes,
So,
please.
yeah, so it's just, and I think that's why I say Diane has been a gift, because things like I didn't think of or didn't know of, like she's really helped us and opened our eyes, and I just feel, I feel so much better. Like if I was to go today, that I just know that my family and my children will be in a better place. Yeah.
That's awesome. Is there anything else you wanted to add in terms of maybe someone in your who was in your position, say 10 years ago? What would you say to them, or someone who's losing sleep over money, or someone who really wants to be on the property ladder but doesn't feel it's possible? What would you say to them?
Like one thing I regret is not doing this earlier.
Yeah.
So that's and when I did start, I was like, why didn't I think of this earlier? And I want people to know it's yes, it is confronting, but it's a long journey. It's not like you do have to do. There are sacrifices along the way, but they're not big sacrifices. Like Diane said, like what's important for you, and we're not going to cut that out.
Yeah.
But we can make better decisions. So I think people just need to start. But I couldn't have done this without someone like Diane's with their skills, their knowledge.
And their perspective, It's giving you the tools to do it's really important, but also giving you new perspectives and kind of exposing you to options you hadn't even considered.
Yeah.
You either didn't think they were possible or you just hadn't even thought of them.
Yeah.
And staying focused. It's easy to kind of lose your focus and go off in different tangents. Like, hang on, that's fine, but what about this goal? Remember, you told me that goal was most important.
Accountability is so
bringing
key.
you back too. Yeah.
So there's the proud mum, but there's also
Yes.
you'll get told off by mum if you start frittering your money away again, right? Yeah. That's it for this episode of Where's My Money. Thanks to Moe and Lucyanne for pulling back the curtain on what home ownership really looks like in their worlds. Next week, we're tracking the money. Grace, Caitlin and Sam, 3 Kiwi women. Different ages, different incomes, and very different relationships with their bank accounts. We find out what makes their money minds tick. Then we follow the trail. Every swipe, every splurge, every I deserve this moment. For 2 weeks, their money habits are under the spotlight, and so are the red flags. This is the biggest in-studio guest selection I've ever had. How do you guys rate yourself when it comes to money?
I think I'm pretty good.
Out of 10, what do you give yourself?
I'm going to start lower than Grace. I'm going to go 5.5.
Good, honest feedback.
And I'm so excited to hear yours.
Yeah, me too.
If you're 5.5, I was thinking I'm like a 6, but I have no idea about money. This is so bad.
This is awesome. What are they afraid we're going to find? What do they find out about themselves? Perhaps they're going to be the ones asking the question, where's my money?